Hey y'all, it's Bill Lawler. I wanted to give an update about my upcoming surgeries in the next week or two. On my last semi-annual checkup with my dermatologist, they found three skin cancers on my face. Several others they were able just to freeze off, and so those are taken care of. They don't have to do any follow-up surgery. But the three they found on my face, I'm scheduled tomorrow morning for one surgery. They might do two, I don't know. I go in there when they tell me, and I never know what I'm going to look like when I come out. But I promise you, it's not going to be something I'm going to put on YouTube, at least not until the surgical sites begin to heal up some and don't look quite so terrible. But I've got one on each side of my cheek or temple area right in front of my ears. And then I've got one on the tip of my nose, right about there. It's kind of a darkish looking, I can feel the where they gouged it out for a biopsy, but it's right there, kind of a slightly discolored, darker spot on the tip of my nose. That one I'm more concerned about my nose than anything, because this nose is a national treasure, and I don't want to see it destroyed or taken off, you know. So I've inherited this from my ancestors. I probably also inherited the skin cancer. I'm pretty sure I did on my mom's side of the family. My first surgery is tomorrow morning, July 31st, at I think 9:15 in the morning. And so check the post to see if I've posted anything the next week or so. If I can do something on video, I will. I may have to wear a scarf over my face, like they do in some other countries. Just showing my eyes. How about that? Well, just a little bit of an update. My only surviving uncle died last weekend, and I went to the funeral on Friday. He and his wife, Ann, had been married 72 years, and she's still living. She's 90, and he was 93 when he passed away, and they're living in the New Orleans area, so it was only about a 3-hour drive. So I hopped in the truck, left here, I don't know, it was almost 10 o'clock in the morning. Got there about, I don't know, 2, I think. I dawdle when I travel. I'll stop at a rest area and get some coffee and, get out of the truck, stretch my legs. I didn't take Luna with me, my boxer. I left her home. And so I went kind of piddle along and got there. It took me about 4 hours total. Got there almost about 1:30, 1:45. And immediately found out that the family was supposed to be at the funeral home at 2 o'clock. So everybody was kind of rushing around, frantic to get to the funeral home. Well, we didn't leave their house until 2. It took us a half an hour to go 7 miles in heavy traffic. And I guess because it was a Friday afternoon, I don't know, but I wouldn't live in that part of the country for nothing just because of the traffic. It would drive me nuts. So we went to the funeral home, and I think I saw several cousins there. Of course, my aunt was there, and then I had my aunt and uncle had 2 children, a daughter and a son. They were both there, so I got to see them. Hadn't seen them in a long time, probably since 2005 or 2009. I don't remember, somewhere along in there. It's been a while, 10 or 15 years. And most of the people that came to the funeral, I did not know, because they were all folks that lived in and around the area. They were folks from church and neighbors and things like that. They had lived in this, they lived in this house many years. And so, you know, I was kind of like a fish out of water. I didn't know anybody. Nobody knew who I was. And I'm sure there was a lot of whispering going on about my long hair. I was the only man in a congregation of about 50 people. I was the only man there that had hair below his ears. Mine's way below my ears, isn't it? But anyway, it was a, you know, I was glad I got to go. I wouldn't say it was enjoyable. You know, funerals never are. But their pastor did a good job on the service, and there wasn't a lot of boo-hooing and crying because, you know, he had been gradually going downhill. At 93, you know, you don't know whether you're going to live another day or not. And he had eaten supper. I don't know what time they eat, but they have full-time caregivers around the clock. I think they rotate like 12-hour shifts. And so they had sat down and gotten their food and ate their supper. And some of you may call it dinner. That's okay. You can be wrong. And he had finished his dinner and went into the living room and sat down in his recliner and dozed off. And this was a common thing. They didn't think anything about it. And I don't know, an hour or so later, they went to wake him up and they couldn't wake him. And, you know, I mean, this had happened before as well, where they had a hard time waking him up. And so they contacted the son, who lives not far away, just a few minutes away in a different subdivision, I think. And he came over, and then a neighbor came over with a paramedic background. And then they called the paramedics, and by the time they got there, they had been working on him for a few minutes, and they did the routine sort of chest compressions, that sort of thing, and no response. Never got a heartbeat. Never could tell whether he was alive or dead when they originally started trying to wake him up. But I tell you what, man, what a way to go. You know, I told someone yesterday, I said, my uncle, or day before when I was at the funeral, I said, you know, he went out like everybody on the planet wants to go. Just go to sleep, nice full meal, and never wake up. So I was really happy for him that he didn't suffer and have a long drawn out hospitalization with the exorbitant costs of that, which can cripple a family. I'm just thankful that when he went, he just peacefully went to sleep and drifted off, and that was it. So I was glad to see my cousins, and also the youngest of my two cousins. His name is Chuck, and Chuck has two boys, and they're grown men now, and I don't know what their ages are right off the top of my head, but they both had their plus ones with them. One of the boys is engaged to be married, I think in October. They're getting married in Italy. And then the other one, it's a serious relationship. There's no engagement yet, but they both looked real happy. Both couples looked real happy. And it was nice to be able to say hello to them and chat and get caught up and just share a few minutes of recalling their grandpa, my uncle, and they laughed. I told them, I mentioned that he was my favorite uncle because he and I both shared these luxurious eyebrows. I mean, some people would pay a lot of money for eyebrows like this, really thick, and he wore his. It stuck out probably half an inch from his head, and you could almost put a flower pot on top of one of his eyebrows. They stuck out so far, and I commented that he could go out in the rain and not get water in his eyes. But it was good to share with them and talk and laugh, and hopefully one of these days they may stumble upon my channel and get a kick out of this and remember what we talked about. Anyway, I don't want to make this video too long. I don't even know how long I've been on now. Let me see if it tells me. About 15 minutes, looks like 14 minutes or so. I'm going to stop it here, and I just appreciate everyone who comes by my channel. Like I've said in the past on other videos, I'm just an old man sharing what I think is important, interesting, controversial, fun. I mean, I'm just going to be talking about stuff that I enjoy, things that I want to talk about. I'm not pursuing any kind of an angle or a way to make a fortune off the backs of those who watch my videos. As far as I know, I mean, hell, you gotta have 1,000 subscribers to even start with YouTube in terms of ad revenue and that sort of thing. I'll probably never hit 1,000 subscribers. I've got just over 100 right now, and I mean, it's slow going. I'm not worried about it. I'm just gonna have fun, and as I've said before, when it stops being fun, that's when I stop. So I do enjoy doing this. I enjoy the technology behind it, the camera, the sound, the composition, putting all this together into a composite and then uploading it to a worldwide platform. I hope you have a good day today and enjoy life, enjoy your family and friends. And so right now I'm going to say bye for now.